This video is sponsored by the Prowler action figure that's propping my phone camera up right now. Thanks, Prowler. Congrats on your Oscar win for Best Animated Feature. Anyway, I'm just going to tilt this slightly so it doesn't fall over. And let's talk. Captain Marvel is a 2019 motion picture from Walt Disney Studios and, of course, Marvel Studios. It is the 21st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's all about Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Look at it there, not in focus because it's a phone camera. Matt and I saw this separately. I am recording this on the morning of Friday the 8th of March because I just don't have the time to see it over the weekend. Matt is seeing it tonight and we're recording our Big Dumb Cast on Sunday. So, here is a roundup of my spoiler-free thoughts on Captain Marvel. Stars Brie Larson as Viz, a Kree warrior, part of an elite unit that deals with very specific tasks in the Kree-Skrull War. Her commander, played by Jude Law, is trying to teach to control this immense power that she has and that she's been utilising and trying to train with for the last 6 years. And that's all she remembers of her life, the last 6 years. And little flashes of memory of something keep coming back to her from time to time of a previous life. The story is about what happens when a Skrull unit arrives on Earth in 1995. There's a few visual indicators of it being 1995 in the film. This phone keeps tilting. I'll move my tea away. So, work, damn it. There we go. She's there to help stop that Skrull unit from infiltrating Earth's population and continuing their apparent invasion of the universe that the Kree and her unit are dedicated to stopping. Along the way, she works with Nick Fury, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and new agent Phil Coulson, to get ahead of the Skrulls, figure out what power source it is they're trying to locate on Earth, and along the way she discovers a few bits and pieces that suggest that perhaps she and this planet may not be so distant from each other's past, and that she may have had a life on Earth before waking up and joining the Kree. So, pros. I think that the setting for the movie works really, really well. The 90s setting works great for this film. I think the message of this movie, and particularly in the message of a young woman fighting against sort of inbuilt stereotypes and oppression against what she should and shouldn't do, is handled really, really well. There's some very powerful imagery in here. Obviously, I can't speak to it from the point of view of A, someone who can keep their elbow on the desk, and B, from the point of view of being a woman or being a young girl. But I can appreciate what they were doing. And considering it was a showing on a Friday morning, like not in a school holiday, there were a lot of groups there, mostly female, who'd come to see this movie. College groups and adults alike, freelancers like myself, skivers, had come to see the film. So obviously there was something there that was prominent enough in the marketing to call out to an audience that are like, yeah, I want more of this, please. I think it works the same way Wonder Woman does in terms of making you go, yeah, we don't see enough of this. As you're watching it, you'll see stuff where you go, yeah, this doesn't really happen often in cinema, and that kind of sucks, and I'm glad that it's happening now. It also suffers from some of the same problems as Wonder Woman as a film, which I'll get to in the cons. Nick Fury's fantastic. The effects on Sam Jackson are, like, unrecognisable. It's like, no, that's 1995 Sam Jackson. You just somehow plucked Pulp Fiction Sam Jackson out of the time stream, put him in this movie, and then put him back. It's flawless, and you can see the legwork they've done in the prologue of Ant-Man and in the flashback memory scene in Civil War and things like that, where they've tested this technology. It works so well. Not as well on Clark Gregg, although it's delightful to see him back. He does look a little bit Tony Stark in the opening of Civil War-esque at times. Brie Larson, I think she could have been given more to work with. And it's mostly to do with the whole conflict, her inner conflict of, I have memories, why can't I remember this place properly, but see it in flashes? Who are these people? Do I know them? There's some heavy stuff to deal with, but because of the character's military training, she's quite stoic, and she sort of doesn't really let it get to her. And I think they could have allowed more room for that because she's a really good actor. And it would have been really cool to see her tackle that and maybe let loose a bit more and let her weaknesses get a hold of her a bit before composing herself and getting the job done. Instead, she's just kind of stoic in a way that, regardless of whether this be a female-led blockbuster or a male-led blockbuster, I think it would have made the character a little hard to attach yourself to. I kind of found that a little bit with Carol Danvers in this movie, with Viz, as she's known throughout the majority of the film. Sorry, Capaldi toy was about to fall off the shelf. Oh, go save him, Carol. Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, the leader of the Skrulls, is fantastic. I'm trying to remember the actor's name and I'm so annoyed. Oh my god, she plays Carol's old friend. Character's name's Rambeau. She plays her. Matt will remember this because he's much better with names than I am. She was phenomenal and brilliant, and I wish there was more of her in the movie because she brought a lot of humanity to it. The alien stuff and Carol's mind wipe kind of angle didn't allow us to see with the other characters, such as Carol and Talos to a point. Jude Law is fantastic, and just like, wow, cast him in more action roles. Not like as a leading guy, but just in a role where you can go show off what he can do. The action overall is fantastic. Brie Larson is a powerhouse when it comes to the stunt scenes and the fighting. She's scary, like, good. The shots don't usually get to show her off properly, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't get to sort of witness how powerful she is and how good the choreography is because of the way it's shot sometimes and the way it's edited. But she holds her own, and I can, if you listen carefully, you can hear Thanos shitting himself. So I am looking forward to seeing Captain Marvel interact with the further MCU after this. Cons, really, like I said, there's more that they could have allowed Brie to get her teeth stuck into that the film doesn't, and it would have been nice to see. There is an over-reliance in the third act on fans, this stuff later on is that is sort of unnecessary, and it doesn't really detract from the movie, but it's like, I wonder what happened had they held off. Also, the score's gorgeous, but I did feel like some of the motifs were used a lot, and I don't know if that was just because they wanted to make it an ongoing bit of music that would play throughout, a theme that would play throughout, or if they just reused the same piece a few times. But I'd have to watch it again, really, to get a better grasp of that. It opens with a beautiful tribute to Stan Lee. His cameo is, of course, in there because it was shot a while back. It's also an acknowledgement of another Stan Lee project. All I'll say is, Stan Lee, cameo, 1995. That's wonderful. Seeing characters that are integral to the universe going forward, or at least going backwards, because we've seen the movies that they're in, is kind of nice. So Korvac and Ronan, Coulson and Fury. And Goose is amazing. That cat, this is a cat lover's movie, and Nick Fury is a cat lover. All in all, I think Captain Marvel sort of is, as a film, it's more toward like the Spider-Man Homecoming, Iron Man 3, kind of bracket, like the Ant-Man sort of bracket of the MCU. It's not the strongest entry in the series, but it's a damn cool way to kick off the year. It's a really good film on its own. It's got a nice bit of fan service for a continuity that is obsessed over by, millions of people worldwide now, not just nutters like me who've got this shite on their head and in their room. I recommend it a lot, and I want to talk more about the spoilers, because it's a story that the less you know about it beyond that basic premise I spoke about a minute ago, the better experience you will have. That's not to say it's twisty-turny, but it's just more than the surface level. So if you want to hear my spoiler thoughts, Big Damn Cast will be out next Friday. So it'll be Friday the terrible maths 15th. Coming up in a moment, though, is Matt's spoiler-free thoughts. So take it away, you big, beautiful bastard.
You do you, love. I'm driving.
With an invitation like that, Chris, how could I say no? Well, here I am. I'm actually in the car with my lovely partner. Hello, you're on camera.
God, I actually look dead under the light.
I'm in the car post Captain Marvel, and
With a ghost.
spoiler free thoughts. That was great. That was really, really good. I mean, I've had sort of high expectations for this movie anyway, and there's, you know, all the pre-release stuff has been really promising, and I think what the pre-release stuff and trailers did really, really well was they actually didn't give away a lot of the twists and turns of the story.
Yeah, I like that they credited Jude Law as Marvel.
They didn't.
Well, it was on IMDb. That's
Yes,
what I mean.
IMDb. We said this recently on the podcast.
Yes, a lot of it's user updated.
Yes, so and
But that's what I like. I like the fact that they've let that slide and they've not corrected that.
yes, well, they don't a lot of the times, but the way they updated the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel origin, the way that they sort of made her.
Where do you want me to go, mate?
Oh yes, cars are the worst.
Yeah, it's our favourite album, Honk Honk I'm a Car.
Yes, it's good. Doing this while in the car is no fun. Yeah, I like the way they updated her origin. I like the way that they sort of streamlined her history and backstory, especially with the stuff around Marvel and Yon-Rog and all that business. Really love what they do with the scrolls in this movie, but to say much more would be spoiling it. There is some really good stuff here that you want to go in blind for it. The less you know going in. The trailers don't really spoil anything. So if you've seen the trailers, that's all you need to know. It's a great looking movie. It zings. The dialogue's full of energy and fun. It does the thing that Marvel do so well with a lot of their movies, that they get a bunch of actors with great charisma and they just let them bounce off each other. And this, you know, it's something they've been doing since the original Iron Man, and it's been working for them since then. So they just keep doing it, and they do it really well here. Brie Larson is fantastic. Samuel L. Jackson's fantastic. Lashana Lynch is fantastic. Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic. Jude Law, everyone's fantastic. Gemma Chan and Jimon Honsu pop up. You've got little turns from Clark Gregg returning as Coulson.
We have Goose the cat.
Goose the cat.
Everybody's favourite cat.
Goose. Goose is fun. Yeah, this is a great, fun movie. It is a real blast. Hey, it's a real photon blast, full of fun and energy and colour. And one of the best things about it, and the way it and its version of Carol, this movie's version of Carol, the MCU version of Carol, is how there's a lot, particularly with the male heroes, is that sense of torture, that sense of having to go through so much to earn your hero stripes. But Carol almost arrives at the beginning of the movie fully formed into a swaggering, confident hero. And although she goes through it, I don't want to give anything away, but although she goes through stuff through the movie, it's never a case of, it never sort of breaks her down to build her back up. She's always that strong and confident and headstrong, stubborn Carol, and they do a really, really good job of characterising her well and keeping that through line without sort of not leaving her anywhere to go.
Also, she's having fun.
Oh God, is Brie Larson having fun in this? Everyone is. It feels like it's a real joy, a real cinematic joy. And remember, if you want to hear me and Chris talk spoilers, and we will, then tune in to the next Big Damn Cast. Send in your thoughts on Captain Marvel. We'll read them out on the show. Until then, be good to each other. Okay, I've got to stop it now. Ha!